Hello, my name is Samuel Herr. This is my UNIV301 Lifelong Learning Journey presentation. The first future personal learning goal is amateur robotics. I would like to learn more about hobby-based robotics because I was once deeply involved with FRC robotics, which is a robotics competition in high school. The steps I might need to take in order to learn more about hobby-based robotics would be to find something that would be interesting to start working on and applying prior experience and knowledge to identify the kind of project that would be best suitable to get back into. The resources that I might use are getting involved with clubs that are related to robotics, like BattleBots and other IEEE clubs. And there are plenty of open source projects online to get inspiration or learn more information about what I might need to do in order to pursue a project. The obstacles that I might encounter are time constraints and funding, but that can be overcome with good time management and being patient with certain projects that might take a longer time to complete. And the artifacts that I might collect along the way are physically made designs and building logs and documentation created along the way in the design and testing process of certain robotics projects. The second personal learning goal that I chose to focus on is PCB design. I would like to learn how to design and produce basic PCBs because it's a pretty core part of tinkering with electronics and getting involved with robotics and mechatronics. The steps I might take in order to arrive at this point would be to find inspiration for a project that would require this and getting my foot in the door, so to speak, with a project that would be simple enough to start off with, like a pin badges that use a PCB board and a simple battery and an LED. They're pretty prevalent throughout a lot of maker-themed conferences that I've seen in the past. Resources I might be able to use are open source projects and seeking out other students that I know that have experience in PCB design and manufacturing. Obstacles I might face are getting certain parts ordered and making sure my circuits that I design are safe, because there are certain requirements. In order to address that, doing basic prototyping on breadboards would be able to get most of the issues spotted and corrected throughout the initial design process. And learning artifacts that might be collected along the way are schematics and physical objects made afterwards that are functional, as well as possible failures to learn from. The first future academic learning goal would be time management. This is really important because it's a very all-encompassing skill that is critical in all things, both academic, personal, and professional. Although the focus here isn't academic, because it's really critical to get it down right before getting into professional workspace. The steps required would be to find that motivation to maintain that kind of schedule. That motivation can be found just through being engaged with the classes very closely and understanding what kind of time frames will be required to dedicate to certain projects and assignments. And the resources that might be able to help here are calendar apps, a physical calendar, and also physical planners to keep track of those assignments, due dates, and meeting times. Obstacles would be hesitation and procrastination to start certain assignments. The way to overcome that would be to find a way to move past that mental hurdle, be that through experience or through asking other people how they managed modifying certain behaviors that have been a problem in the past. The learning artifacts that might be collected along the way would be calendars and schedule books that are filled out. The next academic learning goal would be communication. This is important to me because group projects are very prevalent throughout my major, and it's a constant point of needed improvement. The steps that I might have to take here are to open my mind to new experiences and backgrounds of people that I interact with, and the core value here is just being considerate of others and understanding their points of view. The resources that might be useful here are again, being involved with clubs and working with people over time. It's an accumulation of experience. The potential obstacles would be miscommunication and inner disagreements, but that might be overcome through intermediaries and teachers and professors. In a professional setting would be supervisors. The learning artifacts might be collected along the way are group project documentation, the kind of intermediary steps of collaborating and finding the topics and data required to make a project successful. The first future professional learning goal is mechanical failure analysis. This is important to me because it's deeply ingrained with the kind of future career I'd like to be involved with. The steps required to get to this point would be to have a professional development opportunity through a employer, or perhaps an internship or a specific general education or class. The resources that would be helpful to get there would be to take a finite element analysis focused class. On the right here, we can see an image from my AME 211 class, which touched on it briefly, but for a more professional environment, there would be education required. The obstacles there would be finding the right training, either through employer or through on my own time, to be more familiarized with the different kinds of software used for FEA. And learning artifacts I might collect from this would be analysis files created during the FEA process. The next professional learning goal is design prototyping. This is important to me because it's another very important and ingrained part of mechanical engineering when developing a new product, is to do iterative design processing through prototyping. The steps required to get there would be to be with a team, pursue a certain project to solve a problem, or on my own to start a iterative design process to solve a problem. The resources required would be through either open source or closed sourced software and hardware documentation through an employer or personal project. Obstacles and roadblocks are pretty clear here. It would be, design failures and having to learn from those failures. And if there's an obstacle where a certain design keeps on failing, you then require a new and novel approach to try and solve that problem, to overcome that issue. And the artifacts that might be learned or collected across the way would be devices and parts that are changed over time through that iterative prototyping design process. And that is all. Thank you very much for watching.